Hey everyone, welcome. So excited to see everybody here again today. We've been doing these for a couple of weeks now, and it's been great to just see a lot of our folks coming in and out. But again, thrilled to be here. I'm Francisco Cruz Mendoza. I'm the head of community here at Replit, and once again, partnering here with our very own, just legendary Replit ambassador, Manny. Pass it on over to him.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the stream. Manny Bernabe here, Replit Ambassador. Got really cool topic today. We're going to be talking about our Salesforce connector. Got a couple of really good builds. But before that, Francisco, any updates on your end in terms of events or new things that Replit builders should know about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been hearing all the comments, of folks kind of wanting to get together, meet in person. I'm planning about, I would say like 5 or 6 international events with different community members and ambassadors from around the world. So I'll be posting like a very big post around that very, very soon. Currently, we have a YC hackathon coming up tomorrow over for Halloween celebration. That's coming up, and then a couple of other appearances I'll be posting about around the Bay Area, as well as potentially New York as well. So that's coming up very, very soon. And for anyone that's interested in joining a community or being part of the community, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. You can see my socials here. But other than that, a lot more to come. Probably for our stream next week. Have a lot more to share then. But yeah. Other than that, as well, any comments? I will be checking out the comments as they kind of come through. And of course, this will be recorded. We'll be sending out soon after the live stream ends. But yeah, we're here, we're listening, and we're excited to get started.
Awesome. All right. Thanks very much. We've got some great activity in the chat. Definitely drop your comments. Have folks pretty excited about what we are building here. So let me just show that here, and got some folks that are new to building with Salesforce in Replit. Join the club. It's a lot of us here. And very good. So with that, let's jump into things. And as you get questions, folks, feel free to drop it in the chat. Okay, so a brief recap. Last week, we talked about building custom sales and RevOps tools with HubSpot. The idea is that you don't want to pull the data from where it currently lives for your organization and for your team. You want to pull that data and just start building custom applications on top of that data with Replit. So we built two really cool demos, a prospecting workbench to help you identify some of your better leads and score them, and then push that back to HubSpot. We also built out a custom sales dashboard. So this was a sports themed dashboard that I envisioned a manager wanting to build to get his team excited about meeting certain sales goals. So if you missed that, the recording is available on our YouTube channels. Go check it out. This week, we're going a little bit bigger, folks. This week, we're talking about building with Salesforce. So now, like HubSpot, we have a Salesforce connector in Replit. Again, connectors allow you to one-click connect into your favorite tools and your favorite data sources, allowing you to build custom applications in Replit. And I've got 3 big demos lined up for everybody. And the idea here is to give you inspiration. Like ultimately, the powerful thing about Replit is that it allows you to build your own custom applications and your own workflows. And these are some of the ideas that I came up with over the last week as I was getting ready for the stream. But I want you to be inspired and to think about what's going to make your life easier, what would be helpful for your team, and go out and build it. But lined up for today, I have an AI follow-up writer. So I know every salesperson struggles with this. It's sort of this idea that I've got to follow up with all these leads. How do I do that? How do I do that efficiently? How do I do that with AI? We also have an AI sales agent, which is pretty cool. So think about an agent that knows your sales team's activity inside and out and is always available to answer your question. And I'm also showing you a smart lead qualifier. And this is a pain point that I've had in the past where I go to a conference, I come away with 100 leads, really excited, and then I got to get home and follow up with all those leads, and that's always kind of a pain point. But I built a tool that helps streamline that. So I'm excited to show you all that today. And the big theme last week was this idea that AI is really doing away with the distinction of technical versus non-technical. With AI, that's allowing everyone to become a builder now. I showed you a quote from the Figma CEO about the idea that roles are kind of going away, or they're really getting mixed up. Everybody's becoming a product builder. Everybody gets to build. And so for me, the new normal is that you all get to build. If you're a salesperson, if you're a marketing person, if you're an HR person or a legal person, you get to build your own custom tools and workflows with a tool like Replit. And I first started seeing this phenomenon about 6 months ago with product managers. And I feel like because product managers are pretty close to the engineering side of things, they were the first to really adopt this mentality of getting to build out their own custom applications and tools. Then I started seeing it with designers, and now I'm seeing it more and more with marketers. So people that were pretty far removed from the engineering department or from the building department, I'm seeing a lot of activity here in terms of these folks building out their own tools and workflows. And pretty soon it's going to be company wide. So if you're an HR person, you're going to be building your own recruiting tool. If you're a legal person, you're going to be building your own tools that help you review contracts and go through a checklist and pass it on to other teams. I think this is just the early beginnings of a big wave where everybody gets to build. And Replit is really helping to power that. The way I think about Replit is sort of as this great friction reducer for people that want to get started building out their own applications. So if you think about the traditional setup, like, well, what would you do before Replit? You'd have to go set up your own developer environment. You have to go and download your own packages. You have to set up your database. You have to set up authentication. It's just a lot of friction to get you to your app. And with Replit, that all of that is abstracted away, and it makes it as easy as possible and as fast as possible to get what you want, which is an application that you want to be able to use or be able to share with others. And with connectors, it's the same philosophy, new problem. With a connector, think of how you tap into tools and other and databases. So you have to go and set up authentication. You have to get an API key. You have to read up on the API docs. It is just, it's really painful. And if anybody has set up a simple API or authentication into, say, Google Drive or Gmail, you have felt this pain. It's like 7, 8 steps before you're able to get that into your application and start building applications on top of those authorizations. But with connectors, that gets solved. So we have roughly 24 connectors available on Replit now. It's one click. So if I go to Replit and I head over to integrations and I go here to connectors, here's where you're going to see the full options available to your team. I'm on my team account, so I only see the Salesforce connector available. And you just click on the connector you want. You click on authenticate or log in, and it's one click into that connector. And now you have that available for you to build with in your Replit application. So again, same philosophy, new problem. Replit allowing you to build quickly and to get started as soon as possible, even if you haven't coded in the past. And so for today, the focus is going to be on Salesforce. We have this new Salesforce connector. It allows you to read from Salesforce. So for a lot of folks, they have all of their information in Salesforce. That's great. Keep it there. This is the single source of truth for teams. We don't want you to rip that out, but you do want to be able to read from that to do some additional applications or build custom workflows on top of that. And we also want to be able to write to Salesforce. So once you have done something in your custom application or your workflow, you're going to want to write that back to Salesforce and update everything on Salesforce, because you don't want to get an email from your sales manager at the end of the week that your Salesforce isn't updated. I've been there. I'm sure a lot of salespeople have been there, and it's not pleasant to have to update your Salesforce on a Friday evening. And again, it's one-click setup, making it pretty easy to tap into your Salesforce. Currently, the Salesforce connector is available for enterprise and teams. So those account types, it's on the docket to make it available for core. Not We don't have an ETA on that, but hold off. It's going to be coming soon. So with that, I'd love to jump into the 3 demos that I have. I have a demo here around helping salespeople follow up on leads with a custom email writer. But before that, Francisco, let's take a look at the chat. Any questions that are standing out in the chat that we could be addressing?
Yeah, Jay asked a great one. Are connectors the same as MCPs?
Very good question. No, they are not. Think of an MCP as a way for an agent to handle a particular type of application with its own custom rules and logic. So we have a sort of a separate area for MCP servers. It's typically considered different. So MCP servers, they allow, they're very similar to connectors in Replit because they allow you to do some of the same things, like call actions for that tool or for that database. But in Replit, they're different. This is a one-click connection into your application. It's much straightforward. It's much more user friendly. The MCP tends to be a little bit more technical, a little bit more nuanced, and you can customize this as well. So if I wanted to build my own MCP server, I can do that, but I would have to kind of go through the process of writing additional code, giving it additional scopes, getting API keys. It doesn't handle that nice authentication that you get with one-click connectors. So good questions. They're both tools to allow you to tap into external resources, but I would say the connector is the most user-friendly way to go about that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, that's the main question right now. It just seems like a lot of folks are excited to see how this can work.
Yes, and then as always, yes, we're recording this right now. Make sure you sign up for the Luma event, and we'll have a follow-up email that has links to this recording and all the resources that we talk about here. Okay, so the first challenge I wanted to take on is sort of this idea that if you're a salesperson, you have a bunch of leads that you have to follow up on. So you might have these sort of contacts you've made over a certain period of time. They're linked to certain accounts, and you want to quickly be able to follow up on all of those accounts, and you want to get a little bit of help from AI. So what I built here is an AI follow-up writer. So I'm pulling all of these contacts and these leads from Salesforce, and I can click into one of these and I can think about drafting up an email. The cool thing about this demo is that it's pulling the context from Salesforce. So if I go click on here on this link here, it'll take me back to Salesforce, and I can see all of the context that I have for this particular lead, and I'm pulling it into my custom application. So I can read through it and say like, okay, that's we have a proposal that's been sent out. There's a visit that happened here. There's a follow up that happened here. And then with this context, I can feed this into my AI powered email generator and get a custom follow up email for this account. So scroll up a little bit higher and I can see I've got the email here to Jennifer. I've got a subject line, and it's drafting up an email with that context. So I say, hey, Jennifer, hope you're doing well. Wanted to touch base on our recent conversations. Let me go back here. Recent conversations. Curious to discuss further. So it's drafting up this email with this context from Salesforce. Now I like it. I may just want to change the name here. So I just say, hey, it's Manny. And now I can go and pipe this directly into my Gmail account. And that is ready to go. And I can click send, and I'm done with this follow-up. So I think that's pretty handy. And if you have a ton of leads to go through, it's faster to grab that context, use AI to build that follow-up. And then you can pass that along. The other cool thing here is I mentioned that the nice thing about the Replit Salesforce connector is that it allows you to write data back into Salesforce. So I can click this button here that says log it back to Salesforce. So let me make that a little bit bigger and click on that. And now I can see that that has been updated. And if I make it a little bit smaller and go back to view it in Salesforce, you can see that that email has been logged. So I click into that. It's today's date just happens right now, and you can see the email that I sent. So again, so I've got a custom tool, allows me to bring in my contacts, allows me to bring in the context from Salesforce, allows me to use AI to write a custom follow-up email that I can edit. I send it from my application, and then I also get to log this data back into Salesforce from this same application. I get to I think this is a huge time saver. I'd love to hear from the chat. What do you think about this demo?
Awesome. A couple of questions that have come in here. One from Info is, would this work to connect to clients' Salesforce systems from his side?
That's a good question. Currently, the connector only allows you to log into your existing Salesforce account. Now we have gotten a lot of requests about using connectors to log into other people's accounts. So the example here might be like you have a custom application and you want to build this and you want to make this available as a service, and you want someone to come in and log into their own Salesforce account, not necessarily yours. That I know is on the team's radar, but I'm not sure if it's on the roadmap just yet. But just know that we've gotten a ton of requests for that, because I have a lot of builders here that want to build these types of applications and then sell them, which is pretty straightforward to add that payment layer on a Replit application. And to do that, you need folks to log into their accounts in your application to do that. But not currently the case right now with connectors. You only log into your accounts, but may be coming soon down the pipeline.
Awesome.
Great question.
Another one from Patrick. How can we get a copy of your app?
If you go to the Luma event and you sign up for the event, you're going to get a follow-up email. And I'm going to attach the recordings. And I'll also attach a template. So you'll be able to use that template. You'll be able to remix it. You'll have to connect to your own Salesforce account. And again, that's available on Teams and Enterprises. And you have to have your team admin make that available for you. But if you have all of that, you can connect it to your Salesforce, and you should be able to do everything that I'm doing here. The only other thing, let's see, you will have to add your own OpenAI key. So to generate this email, I'm using OpenAI. So you'll have to put in your own secret there and use your own keys there, but you'll be able to use this. Now, the cool thing about this, the fact that this is just like one clicking into Salesforce, means that it doesn't have to necessarily use Salesforce. Remember from our last stream, you also have a connector into HubSpot. So you can take this, remix it, and you can connect it to HubSpot. You can also connect it into an Excel spreadsheet. So if you have all of your information into not Excel spreadsheet, but a Google Sheet, we have a one-click connector into Google Sheets as well. So you can use Google Sheets as your temporary CRM to play around with this and be able to do this as well.
Awesome. And it's like a couple of questions coming in here, and one, basically from Relax, ask it, can you update or build new features within Salesforce, or does this just port the data to use in apps outside of Salesforce? And Douglas asked something similar. Can it write to any field in Salesforce, like update or date field?
Yes. This connector that we have with Salesforce is really impressive. Pretty much anything you can do with the RESTful API, you're going to be able to do with this connector. So that means, CRUD, so like updating roles, updating dates, any fields, queries, bulk operations, read, write, add new fields, write to new fields, override existing rows and fields and objects. You can do that with this connector. So it's very versatile. Allows you to do a lot. Now, I also want, I don't. One other thing to talk about here. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there is an ability for an admin to control the scope of this connector. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So if you're an admin person or a team's lead and you don't want everybody to be able to write to Salesforce, you can control that as well. Replit makes it pretty easy to do that.
Awesome. And then Vo also asked, can Replit maintain data visibility rules that are defined within Salesforce?
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
Sure thing. V asks, can Replit maintain the data visibility rules that are defined in Salesforce?
That is a good question. I'm not too sure about that, but I'll make a note of that and try to get back to you on that one.
Awesome. And yeah, those are the main ones that I see here.
Very neat. Somebody asked, why did I correct myself? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if we have an Excel connector. I know we do have a Google Sheets connector, so it just makes it super easy to connect into Google Sheets. So here it is right here, Google Sheets. But I don't think we have a connector that goes into Microsoft Office 365. I think that's their cloud-based Excel. And then also Excel tends to be locally based. So I can run Excel on my machine. So I won't be able to write directly to that Excel application. What I would do is I would maybe write it to a CSV and then open that CSV in Excel on my application, but I wouldn't write directly to Microsoft Excel. I hope that addresses that. But for simplicity, I would just work with Google Sheets because Google Sheets is cloud based, so you could read and write and do and do all that good stuff with Google Sheets.
Awesome. Those seem to be the main ones that I'm seeing here right now.
Okay, very neat. Okay, so yeah, so that's demo one, number one. And that's kind of like a warm up demo. I wanted to show you another really cool use case that came to mind for me this past week. Okay, so if I go to Slack, I have this agent here in my Slack, and I can ask agent some pretty cool questions like, "Hey, sales agent, um, let's say, what are the deals that closed this month?" Send that along. Let's close this out from previous. Okay, and so I'm getting an acknowledgement that my agent has picked that up, and should get a response in just a moment here. And so now what this agent is doing, it's going to my Salesforce, it's pulling all of that data, and it's giving me a summary of all the deals that close this month. So check this out. Isn't this cool? Like these are all coming from my Salesforce account. So I can see Green Power Energy, 35K, window cleaning, company 23K. And I can click on any one of these and go check out that particular deal. And then I can continue this conversation and say like, okay, what deals over 35K? And notice I'm not like being too specific. The nice thing about this agent is that it has enough smarts to like anticipate what question I'm asking. I'm saying deals over 35K. I'm not necessarily specifying it's like dollars here. So agents should be smart enough to handle this question and come back to it and say, yep, here are the 3 deals over 35K. And again, the links to this. Pretty cool, huh? Now, okay, so that's read. So the agent is reading from my Salesforce account. Now, what if I want to make a change? What if I want to write to my Salesforce platform? So I can say like, can you update deal Acme? Deal size is now 99K. And a little typo there. This agent also has the ability to write back to my Salesforce account, and we'll be able to do that. And so check this out. It's telling me like the deal amount has been updated. Now it's 99K. And then again, I get to go and click on this item in Salesforce, and I can see 99K right here. I just think that is so cool. So now, imagine like this AI agent living in your sales Slack channel. So if your salespeople are saying like, hey, like what deals close, or like, does anybody have any information on this account? Like, I have this new lead. I just, want to get some context on that. Now they can come into Slack and simply ask the sales agent to do that. The other cool thing here, I can say I can customize it a little bit and ask it for some more sort of specific context or like guidance for me. So I can say like, hey, like what deals should I prioritize today? And again, the nice thing about dealing with agents is that you don't have to worry about perfect spelling. Agents are smart enough to know what you're asking for. So now this agent is going to go back to Salesforce. It's going to look through all of my current opportunities that are available. It's going to analyze the different stages in terms of where they are, the last time that I contacted them, and any like blockers that might exist, and give me a nice list of priorities. So here is sales agent saying, okay, Manny, here's what you got to work on. High priority retail pro solutions, 52K. Why? Because it closes in 11 days on November 10th. Oh man, I better get on that. Why? Negotiation. It's a negotiation stage. Here's what I should be doing next. Okay, what else should I be tackling today? MedTech Partners closes in 19 days. Here's what I have to do. Tech Start, Finance Flow. Okay, and then also if I want to go and just start getting more information on this in Salesforce, I could just click on this and start doing what I have to do here in Salesforce. So an AI agent, again, that lives in Slack, that knows your Salesforce inside and out, that can help you query your Salesforce, that can help you update your Salesforce, and can even give you smart guidance in terms of what you should be working on as a salesperson. So love to hear what the chat thinks about this demo, because I really enjoyed putting this together.
People are very excited. Yeah, a few folks asking where they can get a copy of this, which is also always very exciting to kind of see. And then really good question from Hale, actually, and which is, what is the benefit of using the Salesforce connector versus prompting Replit Assistant or Agent to integrate my app to my SFDC account?
The number one benefit is how quickly it allows you to make that connection possible. So when you go into connectors, it's just a matter of signing in here and authorizing the connection, and you're all done. And also, that brings in the relevant context, the relevant documents for agent to build with. So it's just much faster. If you want to do that with agent and not go through the connectors, you can do that, but it's probably going to be a lot more steps that you have to follow in order to make that available. So you're going to probably have to get like an API key, drop that in your secrets pane. You're going to have to read in the documents. It's just a lot more effort that goes into getting that connection up and running. I would say default to the Replit connector. And if it's not giving you what you want for whatever reason, maybe the scopes aren't there or you want to do something else, then try to do it manually, and doing it sort of an alternative path.
Awesome. We have another great question from German here, who says, what kind of credential do you need from Salesforce to build something like this?
So you just need to have a Salesforce account. So if here I have, I just have an account and I'm logged into my Salesforce, and Replit will pick that up. If you're logged into your Salesforce now, Replit will pick that up when you go to the connector and try to sign into it. So if you have a Replit account, if you have a Salesforce account and you're logged in, you'll be able to sign into it with one click.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like he had a couple of follow-up questions, but yeah, those were answered with that explanation as well. So no, people are very excited. Yeah, seeing people absolutely amazing. This is pretty wild. And yeah, again, this is kind of like the basis of the stream, right? Now you can build your own tools. This is something that like, you as your individual can kind of like create and dream up and just be able to kind of implement.
Yeah, I'm seeing. I know, like when I was able to put this together, I just so happy when it like started working, because it's like really cool. And I built like HR agent. I built an assistant here, same framework. And just to give everybody a little bit more clarity on this, for this build, I'm using Replit's new feature of building out agents. So if you go here and you start building, there's a new agents and automation option, and it'd be enabled through Slack, and then I'm putting in the prompt of what I want to build. I have a lot of videos on building agents now with this new feature, so go check that out. And actually, I'll include some of those videos in the follow-up to this, and then I'll also make this template available as well in that follow-up email. So make sure you sign up for that event on Luma so that you can remix this and make it your own. But this whole concept of agents, really powerful. And I didn't get into automations either, but that's also super, super powerful, especially for salespeople. As you can imagine, you can automate like whole like follow-ups for different prospects. You can sequence different emails with automations. So I think, if there's interest in that, let me know in the chat, and definitely try to add that to future builds.
Absolutely. And Craig, looks like Craig Wood, could you schedule these questions? You asked about top deals and priorities, which it sounds like you can. And yeah, a lot of folks kind of like asking more about like, is there any scheduling capabilities? So very, very excited to kind of see it on that side. One great question from Alex is, can I build for my team and they will log in with their own Salesforce credentials?
That's a good question. I don't think that's the case right now. I think so you can't build in the connector natively to show up on your application. So I think it's what people are getting at. So you want to be able to give someone this tool and then have like a button that says connect into your own Salesforce account. If they're a Replit user and they're using this in Replit, you may be able to do that. But if you're deploying this application and you're sending the URL to them and you want them to do that, that's likely not going to be the case. Again, that's sort of this idea of letting people log into their own accounts on the applications that you're building. It definitely is on the radar. A lot of people want to see that. So stay tuned for updates on that. But my guess is that right now, you'd have to find kind of a clever workaround for that. Now, what you can do is if you have access. So in my Salesforce, I have access to everybody's leads in the sandbox here. So theoretically, what you can do is you can just give your application access to all of the leads for your team. You can deploy it on Replit teams so that only people that have Replit accounts can access that application, and then they would just be able to use their own work on their own deals. And then you might also have kind of a condition that says that only allow folks to work on or write to deals where they're listed as the owner. So I might have a filter here, like for example, the owner ID is, I'm going to be the owner ID here, Manny Bernabe. So you can, in your application, you can probably build like a criteria that says that everybody can read from all of the accounts on Salesforce, but you can only write to the email that matches the Replit login with the Salesforce ID. So you probably could do something like that. Good question. Yeah, and yeah. Again, I know there's a ton of demand or there's a big ask. People want to be able to allow folks to log into their own accounts through these applications. And again, on the radar, I'm pumped about that because what it means is that then you can commercialize this. So this follow-up email builder, like what I could have is I can say like, here's an application, you log in, and then you log into your Salesforce account, and then it brings in your information, writes your emails, and does everything that it has to do. And I can have a subscription for that, $10 a month for doing this, and you get to work with your own Salesforce data and information. That to me is a very promising proposition. So more to come on that.
Yeah, and then I would check out there's a Replit blog post on connectors that kind of lists out all the connectors that are available there. I'm seeing a lot of questions about specific connectors. And also, please keep in mind we are actively working on more. So checking out any kind of like of the feedback that folks are writing into and everything else in between. There's a lot more coming in the future, and a couple I can't talk about quite yet, but yeah, releasing very, very soon.
And German, another question here. No, the nice thing about the connectors is that you log in once for your entire Replit building experience. So now that I have this enabled here, I can just go in and start building and build custom apps, and it'll keep using this connector, which is pretty amazing because, alternatively, what you'd have to do is every time you build a new application, you got to build the authentication from scratch every time. But here, I connect once, one click, and it's available across all of my Replit applications. And I can also manage here to see which applications are using this connector, and this stays on until I log out. It keeps me logged in, and I can just continue to use this connection. Someone's asking, is there a LinkedIn connector? Not yet, but I would love that. I'm a big LinkedIn user. I'm there all the time. But I would love that. Dan, tell me about what you would want to do in a Replit app with the LinkedIn connector. I have a couple of ideas. Like, for example, like I don't want to use the word hate, but I dislike the messaging setup and UI in LinkedIn. So I would love to just have that custom experience in Replit that allows me to quickly respond to different messages. I would love a custom connection setup, because right now I get a ton of connection requests, but I don't know who I should be accepting, and it's just kind of a whole thing. So those are some of the things that come to mind for me, and of course, like finding leads and people to connect with. But Dan, I would be curious to hear about what you would love to see in a LinkedIn connector. Awesome. I'm glad you're finding it informative, because I think that's just demo number 2. I got one more demo. So if you're finding that informative, I think the next demo you're really gonna love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One question from Tim, I've seen a couple pop up here, is Square point of sale. So we don't have a connector for Square, but they're curious, could you build your own or build around it? Manny, any suggestions there?
You can't build your own custom connector right now because the connector has deep integration to Replit. It's just really nice how this is set up. Again, one click across all of my applications. And so you can't custom build your own connector. What you can do is you can, have like a standard way of connecting into different applications, or you could just put in a request for a particular connector. So definitely look through all of the different connectors that we have, and if there are some that you would like to see but aren't there, reach out to us, ping me on LinkedIn or X, and I will pass it along, because we're just getting started with this. This is like what I'm really pumped about. Right now, we have maybe 25 connectors, but these are rolling out on a fast clip, and you're going to start seeing some really awesome tools that you're going to be able to use for the connector. So if there's a connector that you don't see, let me know, and we'll try to get it prioritized, or at least get on the list. I would not be surprised that if in a month or 2 months we have 100 connectors on here. That's how fast this Replit team ships.
And then Dan responded, if you want to bring up the comment, so what you'd like to do with LinkedIn is be able to ID potentially good fit prospects from my network. Then yes, personalized DMs to them about my offering.
Yes, same here. That would make sense. So it would almost be like a Salesforce, or excuse me, a Sales Navigator alternative. You bring in the leads, you bring in the LinkedIn connections, and then their context. So yeah, so it would be like, bring in all of my leads, bring in their context, tell me like what I should offer them based on like some criteria, generate the message, and then push the message directly to them on LinkedIn. If they respond, let me know, bring it into context, and allow me just to kind of accelerate that process. Makes sense.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. And some folks are asking about security. Definitely, Jeremy. Replit thinks a lot about security. I mean, our whole thing is that we make vibe coding safe, and we make vibe coding enterprise ready. So there's a ton of literature and documentation on that. I will include that in the follow-up email, Jeremy, as well, because that's one of the things that people are turning to Replit for, is this idea that you can vibe code in a professional way, in a production grade way, in a safe way. And so we put a lot of emphasis on that, but it's pretty detailed. So I will include that in the follow-up email. Was this built in Replit? Are you talking about the demo or the connectors? This is all live in Replit, absolutely. So I'm guessing you might be thinking the Replit, the connectors. Okay, so any other questions or comments before I get to our third demo, which quite frankly is my favorite demo. I think there's a lot that came together in this last demo. So I'm eager to hear what the chat has to say about this.
Yeah, no,
Thank
looks like
thank
people are excited to check out.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So final demo here. Okay, so tell me if this has been the case for you. But yeah, I love going to conferences. I love chatting with people. You scan the cards, and then and you get all the information. You have chats, and then when you get back to the office, you have this Excel spreadsheet that you have to look at. So if I let's see if I can bring this up. Yeah, so you might have something like this, right? Like you have like first name, last name, email, company, title, phone number, and then you have some notes that you took at the conference. And then you have to go through this and you have to identify, which leads you should follow up with and for who. And if you're a sales team, this is particularly painful because you also have to route these leads to your sales team. And so that's pretty tough. So I thought it would be really cool to build a tool that helps us speed through that and actually make it kind of enjoyable to kind of go through that. So I have what I call a lead enrichment and routing tool. So here, I can bring in a couple of leads. So let's bring in 5 leads just for the sake of the demo. And here I have 5 leads that, and actually let me make this a little bit easier to read. So I have these 5 leads that I have brought up. Let me bring that up again. Say 5 leads that I have spoken to. And again, all you have on these leads are the name, their title, email, and then some notes that you took during the conference here. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add a little bit of context here. So I want to know the LinkedIn for this person. I want to know about their company. I want to know what funding they have and when and what series they are. And so that's a process of enrichment. And so what I'm doing is I'm integrating with a search service for LLMs called Exa, and I'm bringing all of that information in here to make this a little bit easier for me to go through. So now you see when I go back into it, I now have the LinkedIn profile, so I can go here and check this out. I have company information. I have 780 employees, funding, series. I can go check out the company's LinkedIn from here, and I also have a source that I can read up on. So this is the last round that they had, 40 million, $8 billion in funding. And the cool thing is that I don't have to do it one at a time. I can opt to enrich all of these leads. So think about having 50 leads that you have to go through, instead of you manually going and finding the LinkedIn for each one of them, finding information, you can now use this to just automatically go through all of those leads and automatically pull all of that information. So it's grabbing a lot of detail, so it's going to take a moment to process, but still, this is saving you hours and hours of tedious work. And again, what I'm using for this is I'm using Exa AI. So if you head over to Exa AI, they have a couple of different options or services that have an API that you can submit search queries to. So what's being built in there is it's sending the request to Exa AI and saying like, hey, can you find this person's LinkedIn? Can you find details on this company, etc. Last week, I demoed their websites feature that allow you to pull in a list of different names. So, for example, if you're looking for salespeople in a particular region or tech executives in a particular region, you can use that as well. So let's go back here to Okay, so now that's all done. And you can see that all of these have been enriched. So I can go into each one of these individually. Now I see a location, again, LinkedIn profile, details, and information. Okay, so but that's step number one. First step is to get more context. Go check it out. Go chat. Okay, now I want to be able to score each one of these opportunities based on what I care about, based on my company's offering. So now I have this option here where I can click on score all. So this is going to look at and let me while that's running, I'll show you scoring mechanism. So I built this custom methodology here that says like I want you to go through each one of the opportunities and I want you to score it based on different criteria. Company size, funding, seniority of the lead, and intent. And what's cool about intent is that it's actually reading the notes that I put in from the conference and it's analyzing that within AI. And then it's giving me kind of a scoring based on intent. Then I want you to take that and give me an aggregate score in terms of the overall quality of this lead. So you can customize this. When you fork this, you can change this. So if certain things matter to you more than others, you can change this. But I just thought for the sake of a demo, this would be helpful to do. Okay, so we're back here. And what you can see is you have these tags here. Now it's been scored. There's a score of 1 to 10. I have my most promising leads here with a 10, some with 5. And then I also have these really cool tags here like, oh, this one has high intent. This is a champion at the company. This is enterprise deal. This one's really good. And I can click into one of these and read more about the scoring breakdown for this particular lead. So again, the company size, maybe not big, or maybe that detail didn't come in, so it didn't score high on that. Intent signal, 2 out of 3, because it probably had something in the comments from the conference that it signaled that there was high intent and it scored it. And then it even gave me a little bit of an analysis in terms of why it scored it in this way, that is being produced by AI. So I think that's really cool. That's so handy. So now you can quickly go through them and say, like, okay, I got to prioritize these leads. These are awesome. I got to go talk to Happy. That's got to be the first one that I follow up on. I think that's so helpful. I want to show you one last thing that I built into this demo, but first I want to see if there are any questions so far or any comments on this.
Yeah, quick comment, which is great to see. Cognito coding, which I've seen in a couple different streams. I've been working on a lead generator these last few days. I've linked it to HubSpot from your demo. I think I will now be adding this to it. What kind of like what the workflow you're doing now, which is just really cool to see. Always exciting to see folks kind of iterating and building.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the whole purpose of these streams is I want to give you inspiration. I want you to, I'm building things that would be helpful for me right now, or would have been helpful for me in a past life, or with my teams that I've worked with before. And I want you to just give you ideas of what you can be building, and also give you these components, because then I'm going to share this as a template. You're going to be able to remix it, and you're going to be able to integrate it quickly into your own applications. Now, I have a question. What would make this better? Any ideas in terms of how we can improve this overall application, or what additional builds or features would you think about adding here? Love to hear in the chat.
Awesome. And then, yeah, Manny, yeah, again, folks really excited to kind of see this project as well, where they can kind of like, remix it repo. Yeah, these will be going out after this event. We'll be sending out an email that has content on connectors, as well as, kind of where you can kind of grab this as a template and remix it as well.
Absolutely. And I also want to do a quick pitch for the Replit gallery. So if you go to the gallery, you look at work, you're going to see a number of different templates that I have available here. Click into this, remix this template, make it your own. You see this one has over 15 different remixes. So definitely come back to this on a regular basis to look for more ideas that you can remix. But yes, I will be templatizing all of these and sending them out with the email, so you can remix it and make it your own. Really, and then if you do build it yourself, or add it to something, please share it on LinkedIn or X. Tag me. Would love to see these out in the wild. And also, I want more ideas as well.
Yeah. And then you asked what could be doing better. Intern Design says if we could then assign to certain sales team members, connect to that follow up message app from earlier. Yeah.
Intrin Design, thank you very much for that question, because that's exactly what I was going to show you next. So if you're a sales manager, you know that you got to divvy up these leads, right? Going back to Glengarry Ross, right? The leads, who's going to get the leads? Everybody wants the hot leads. So I thought it would be cool for us, a team leader or marketing leader, to make that super easy. So I have this sales team here, and they all have different levels of expertise. They all have different territories, and I want to be able to divvy up all of these leads to these different accounts. And so what I've done is I've built some logic here that says, like, okay, like, here's how I want you to divvy up these leads based on priority. You send the highest priority leads to the most senior people based on territory, and then also then on account size matching. So if I go to route these leads now, run that, is going to take those leads and it's going to show me that it's now routed all of those leads. Isn't this cool? I think this is so cool. So now this lead is going to Alex. This lead is going to Marcus, and it tells me why too. Like, this is a medium priority, this is a high value priority, it's mid market, 200 employees. Awesome. So thank you for that tee up. That was not planned at all. Thank you very much. But that was sort of my next level of thinking. So as I build these things, I think about, the question that always comes to mind is like, it would be more helpful if, it would be cool if, and I think like, okay, it would be cool if we can automatically route these leads to all of my different salespeople. And so that was sort of a, one prompt that I built into that I asked Replit to go out, and it was able to implement that. How cool is that?
No, that's awesome. One question that kind of came up a little bit earlier from Jesse is a little bit separately, but again, just kind of the capabilities of Replit itself. Can you build an AI agent that can operate in Google Chat the same way it does in Slack?
Currently, that's not so straightforward. So if you go to the agent automations build, you have two main channels where agent build is optimized for. That's on Slack and on Telegram. And so I think that's something we can add to the roadmap, is have Google Chat here. But right now it's just these two. I also would like to see Discord as well. It'd be nice to have a custom agent in Discord. Um, but right now it's still like just Slack and Telegram. And just note that this is a beta release. So this just got released 4 weeks ago. And I'm already seeing like how I can use this, and I'm really pumped about it. Once this goes goes fully live, I think it's gonna be easier to do that. So for right now, I don't think it would be that straightforward to do. I think you still figure out a workaround if you build an agent that is Slack based and then you try to connect it to Google Chat. But I think it would be a little bit cumbersome, but it's worth a shot. I would still build the agent in Slack to test the functionality, because when you're building agents, you have to for me, a lot of the work goes into building the tools. So let me show you this agent build here. I want to show you one more thing on the last demo, but let me show you this really fast. So if I go to my dashboard for this agent, you can see that I have this agent here, and here is all of the tools that it has access to. So earlier you saw me in Slack, it was querying Salesforce, it was prioritizing different opportunities. And so I'm custom building all of these tools for my agent. And so I would actually spend a fair amount of time building this out and making sure that these tools are working appropriately and that you have this prompt right. Because then after that, connecting to a channel, my sense is that that's not the hard part. That's, maybe tedious and cumbersome, but the hard part is really making sure you have the right prompt for your agent, and that you have the right tools, and that these tools have access to the right resources, like in this case, Salesforce. So I would focus on that. Before we get to there's a bunch of other questions here, but before that, I just want to show this last part of the build here. Okay, so we routed all of these, um, sorry, so I've assigned all of these leads to all of my account, my sales people. But again, we talked about, you want to bring everything back to a single source of truth. And for many organizations, that's Salesforce. And so now that I've done this, I want to be able to push all of this to Salesforce. Okay, so I have this button here, and now it's going to take all of those items and bulk upload them to Salesforce. So now I should be able to go into one of these, and now I have this lead in Salesforce. And if I go to details, you can see that who it has been assigned to. And this just happened right now. And here's, lead score, the breakdown, tags, and then who it has been assigned to. Um, so again, bringing everything back to Salesforce. So this is what I love about Replit and this new connector. It starts with where your data is, and that's Salesforce here. You do all this cool stuff, custom. You're using AI. You can make it your very own, and then you push everything back to Salesforce. It's like you get the best of both worlds. You keep your single source of truth updated. You're not getting emails from your sales manager at the end of the week, and you get to build your own custom workflow and work exactly how you want to work. All right. So any other questions, comments here?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, one from Douglas. Can you talk more about what the agent could do for us if we connect it to Salesforce? Like, could I say add a meeting into a calendar on November 5th at 2 o'clock with Francisco, and then it hits, and then it hits his calendar. So I think we talked a little bit about earlier, right, in terms of like connecting with the calendars and some of the automations that could be done there.
Correct. Yep. So we do have an integration that goes into Google Calendar. So what you could do is you can connect into Salesforce, and then you can connect into Google Calendar, and then you can build an application that does that. You can build an agent that does that. That maybe for a particular person reads their calendar, sees if they have an upcoming meeting, or if there's a meeting item on Salesforce, goes and just pings that salesperson as a reminder. So one other idea that I was toying with here is having the agent run a scheduled automation. So, in the morning, it might look at the opportunities and appointments that are in Salesforce and look who those opportunities are assigned to, and can then like go onto Slack and just remind those folks, or like direct to DM or in a Slack channel. So I think that would be kind of a cool use case to build. But yeah, that to me would be a cron job, or maybe even building out a custom automation here. So if you go here, time-based automation, you can connect Salesforce and then have this run, like say at 9 o'clock every morning, and it runs through that logic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, Checking through here. Thanks for joining, Miguel. Yeah, we'll be coming back next week as well. Kind of a little bit more on the different kind of builds as well. Just for right now, we're trying to do a weekly. There'll be a couple different holiday breaks we have, but moving forward, we'll send out a Luma calendar link. So not just individual Luma events, but a calendar link. So anytime we have any sort of live stream or build, you'll get a notification moving forward.
One question here is around how long the record stays in Replit. That's custom based on what you decide as a builder. Right now, for my applications, it's just bringing in data. I'm working on it, and then it's going to erase it. You could change that. You can have it such that the data stays in your Replit application in a database. You can set up your own database pretty easily with Replit, and you can write that data to your database and and have persistence of that data on that application. But that's totally up to you. And that's the nice thing about Replit is like you get to build what's going to be helpful for you and what's appropriate for your use case. Got a question here. I'm assuming you can map into different fields so that you can have more valuable data points. Example, lead score goes into a field. Yep, absolutely. I didn't have time to map because what I could have done is I could have said for each one of these items, write that to Salesforce for each one of those. I just ran out of time on this one, quite frankly. I was building this morning. So yeah, you can definitely do that. So like if I was like building this out a little bit more, I would have it so that it updates that field automatically. Now you may in Salesforce, you may have to create a new field in Salesforce first. I'm not sure if you can do that directly from a Replit app. You might be able to, but what I would do, I would go to Salesforce first, make sure the field's available there. If not, custom build the data object in Salesforce and then give it a custom name and then just reference that in Replit to write to that field. But yeah, this is this is, I don't know, for me, this is so powerful because now like anything that I want to track now, I can then write it back to Salesforce with the data, I can have like a field that says like would be a perfect fit for this new feature that we're rolling out next week and have a custom tag for that or a custom field for that and then write that to Salesforce. And so I know like for that campaign that's coming up, all the leads that are appropriate that I got to hit on that campaign, and really customize that whole filtering mechanism in Salesforce.
Awesome.
Business rules in Salesforce, I'm not too familiar with that box, to be perfectly frank with you. Um, I'd have to look into that. But I think that's an interesting question. I think I mean the question box would be, can you do that via API? Can you override or create a business rule via the API? I'd have to look at the documentation because if you can do it from the Salesforce API, then you'll likely be able to do it through the Replit connector. Yeah, another question on business rules. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Miguel. Yes. Sometimes we go long on these streams. I just want to make sure I answer all of your questions. um, and then, okay, thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. I got awesome. So again, this is a new muscle for us, and let us know what you're enjoying about these streams. We're also thinking about continuing the RevOps and sales theme one more week because we're getting so many great questions from you all and great suggestions. And so I think next week we're going to come back and talk even more about building RevOps and sales tools with Salesforce. But I think we're also going to talk about HubSpot and other tools and other connectors because there's so much you can do now. So if you have ideas, please let me know. Please share me. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think these demos are so much fun. Like again, like so much you can do. Again, catch last week's stream. We talked about a prospecting workbench on HubSpot, a sales dashboard on HubSpot. So now you have 5 great examples of what to build. And use this as inspiration, take them, remix them, make it your own, and really want to see you build your own applications. If you've never built on Replit, pretty straightforward to get started. Just go here and start typing what you want. Like you want like a custom lead filtering tool, or you want an email generation tool. Just start typing that in, and Replit's going to take care of the rest for you. If you build something, definitely share it on social. Tag me, tag Francisco, tag Replit. Would love to hear it.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, thank you all so much for joining. Super excited to, follow up with folks early next week. And yeah, we'll be sending out an email to all the guests that were a part of it. So yeah, always feel free to check out us there, also on social media. And I think one of the things we're going to be trying out here is also just feedback. So you're able to kind of send us feedback after the event, and also you'd be able to connect with us from there through that portal. But please send us any ideas you'd like to see. It sounds like we have a very good event next week. We'll be talking a little bit more about HubSpot, potentially actually having an internal team member who was kind of also building his own tools around HubSpot itself, and going to be showcasing along the way. So yeah, very very excited to see you all. And again, thank you so much for joining. It really truly does mean a lot.
Thank you. And someone's asking about submitting feedback. You can tag us on LinkedIn or X, DM us, or you can respond back to the Luma event. Is that right, Francisco? They could just respond back to that?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That would be a way to do it right now until we have that, the more formal process set up. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Francisco. And yeah, keep building, everybody.
Thanks all. Have a good one.